right now, you probably have this video playing in the background while you do something else. Or maybe you are lying in bed, scrolling, just trying to drown out the quiet. Ask yourself, when was the last time you sat in a room with absolutely zero noise and just did nothing? It probably felt deeply uncomfortable, like an invisible itch in the back of your brain, begging you to put on a podcast, a song, anything. You think you do this because you're easily bored, or because you like being productive, but the truth is much darker. Your brain is literally terrified of absolute silence, because for 99.9% of human history, a silent forest was a warning. In nature, there is always noise. Birds chirping, wind blowing, insects buzzing. It is the background soundtrack of survival. But if the birds suddenly stopped singing and the insects went dead silent, it meant only one thing: an apex predator was near. Silence was the universal alarm bell that a killer was crouched in the shadows, waiting to strike. So today, when your modern house goes quiet, your ancient survival mechanism triggers a wave of subconscious dread. To understand why this happens, we have to look at how our brains are wired. Your brain has an idle network called the default mode network, or the DMN. When you stop focusing on an external task, like when you finish your work or put down your phone, the DMN turns on. It is your brain's idle setting. But your idle setting is not peaceful. The moment the external noise stops, this network starts generating thoughts. And because your survival-driven brain is naturally biased toward negativity, it doesn't serve up happy memories. Instead, it starts scanning. It reminds you of that awkward thing you said 3 years ago. It worries about your bank account. It constructs worst-case scenarios. In a quiet room, your own mind becomes the predator. Our ancestors didn't have to deal with unpaid bills, but they did have to deal with literal predators. In the prehistoric era, if a human ancestor sat alone in a cave with absolutely nothing to do, their brain had to keep them on high alert. If they relaxed too much, they became food. So, evolution selected the anxious, the overthinkers, the ones who couldn't stand being alone with their thoughts because those thoughts kept them moving, building, and surviving. And Silicon Valley knows this. They realize that humans will do almost anything to avoid the discomfort of their own thoughts. In a famous psychological study, researchers put people in a completely empty room for 15 minutes with absolutely no distractions. The only thing in the room was a button that would deliver a painful electric shock if pressed. The results were wild. 2/3 of the men and 1/4 of the women chose to voluntarily shock themselves rather than sit in silence with their own thoughts. One man shocked himself 190 times. We would literally rather feel physical pain than be left alone with our minds. When we never let the silence in, we never let our brains process our lives. Your brain needs quiet periods of low stimulation to consolidate memories, process emotions, and spark deep, creative thoughts. By drowning out the silence with low-effort digital background noise, we are living in a state of constant, low-level mental stagnation. You aren't actually relaxing when you watch a video while eating or play a podcast while cleaning. You are just distracting your prehistoric survival system so it doesn't trigger panic. So, the next time you feel that frantic urge to reach for your headphones when the room goes quiet, take a deep breath. Recognize it for what it is. It is just your 300,000-year-old brain trying to protect you from an ancient predator that no longer exists. You are safe. Turn off the noise. Let the quiet in. Your brain has earned the rest.